Welcome in. Hail to the podcast brought to you by Maize and Blue Review. I'm Trevor McCue, senior editor, Maize and Blue Review, joined as always by Intel Insider publisher Josh Henschke. We'll get into it in a second, obviously, but we said we're going to be as consistent as we can be, and then, of course, stuff always happens. Some big news that affects us at a site level that we're going to get into and explain to you guys just some background on who we are and how we function and what the On3 Rivals news will mean for us and you. But first, just catching up real quick. Josh, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Things are good. Life's good. No complaints.
Look at you. Very 80s little Nike zip up. I'm a fan. That thing's sick. So in the midst of all that as well, our family lost our puppers. Our dog Mowgli, who we'd had for 15 years. I only bring it up because Twitter and our community at the den, everything. I got so many incredible messages, and I know a lot of pet owners out there have been there before, been through it. It sucks. Just really appreciate all the messages. So wanted to say that. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to do a Q&A as well. So feel free to drop in some questions. I don't want to bounce around too much. So we'll probably have a lot more towards the end. But if you have a question now, feel free to throw it in. But we did want to kind of address, obviously, the big news on 3 acquired Rivals. And then on the back end of that, Rivals, which was owned by Yahoo Sports. Yahoo Sports is now, it has an ownership stake in On3. So basically all 3 of them just kind of came together, right? When that was first announced, we didn't have a ton of information, so we didn't want to go live when we knew you had questions and we didn't have answers. And there's still some things we don't have answers to. It's very early in the process. But we have a lot more answers, and just kind of want to take this opportunity to explain to folks, because I think there's some confusion about what we are, right? Like how we exist, how we function, how this news impacts us directly. And then, of course, now that we know more, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff we can share with folks in terms of how it's going to benefit our subscribers and benefit just everything we do moving forward. So first off, for those of you that pay attention, I always say Maize and Blue Review, we cover Michigan for the Rivals Network. And I always call Mr. Josh Henschke, Intel Insider publisher, Mr. Maize and Blue Review himself, Josh Henschke. So I'll allow him to explain a little bit more of this. But what this means is Josh owns Maize and Blue Review and publishes on the Rivals Network, right? So, Josh, if you want to go back to 2022 or 2021, excuse me, and the Monday after the Michigan State loss and when you launched, but just in general, kind of give some people some background on, how you went from, even if you want to go from where you were with working from Sam to getting here, but just how Maize and Blue Review became.
Yeah. So, I guess, we'll go all the way back. Some people might really understand where where I came from and the path I took to get here. If you know what the Big House Report is, then you're one of the OGs, and I appreciate you, because that was my first, I guess, little baby, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Started that site on my own and kind of just worked to find an opportunity somewhere. And then a couple of years later, I went from owning my own website to joining Maize and Brew on SB Nation. I was doing that for a couple of years, and then I eventually took over that site. And I guess I was the managing editor, I guess that's what we want to call it, for a while, and for a few years at least. And then I joined Sam Webb over at the Michigan Insider when it was formerly Scout. RIP to Scout. Funnily enough,
you were there when it was Scout.
Yeah, I was there when it was Scout.
So I have no perception of time. I remember you having Maize and Brew, which is funny.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yep. So I'm with Scout, and then all of a sudden, we get told that Scout, the company, is bankrupt because ownership basically ran into the ground. So funnily enough, Shannon Terry bought Scout while he was with 247, while he was running 247. So eventually we merged with Steve Lorenz and those guys into one site on the 247 network with Scout no longer existing. So eventually, obviously, I was just getting to the point where I was when I was full time, and then the merger happened, but I was still able to be full time and all that stuff. So I kind of achieved a dream that way. And then fast forward to 2022, I get a call about engaging my interest about running a Michigan site on the Rivals network, because the guys that were there originally on the Rivals network got bought out, and we're going to move. We're not bought out, but they were, basically bought out, and they were going to move to On3. So, a long story short, we've been doing this since 2022, and it's been awesome. And funnily enough, what is it, about 2 weeks ago now, we see the news that On3 is acquiring Rivals, or I don't know if acquiring is the right word. I never really know what. It's like a half merger, half acquisition slash.
Because Yahoo Sports still has an ownership stake in the entire company now. Yeah, that's why, like, it's not a straight merger. It's not a straight buyout, right? You brought up Shannon Terry. I mean, that's a key part of it, right? Shannon launched Rivals, sold it to Yahoo. He launched 24/7, sold it to CBS. He launched On3, and now has Rivals back. And he's obviously really passionate about the brand because he was there from the beginning. I think that's just how I look at it. There's Shannon, there's On3 and Rivals, and we'll explain the difference of the two going forward. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't know. Buyout, merger, acquisition, whatever.
Either way, the Rivals and On3 brands are joining forces.
Yep.
Both will kind of exist in some format. The way I was kind of told of it was, think about it from a brand perspective. Like, the On3 brand will be synonymous with, the analytics side of things, the college football transfer portal, all that kind of stuff, like the stuff that they do really well. And then the Rivals brand is kind of going to be synonymous with recruiting, like rankings. That's where the rankings are going to exist. Obviously, rankings, recruiting news, commitments, all that kind of stuff. So there is a clear divide, but at the same time, there's not. It's all going to be basically under On3's calling the shots, so to speak, with Yahoo having a seat at the table. So, to make a long story short, there is still a lot of unknowns in terms of how branding is going to work, how we're going to consider we're going to be considering ourselves On3 once this merger goes official, or things start, progressing to the next stages, which I think is going to be July 1st. I think it
July
is
1st. Yep.
July 1st. So there's still a lot of things that we need to iron out, still a lot of unknowns, but the main really thing is that, Rivals is going to exist in a certain degree. I just don't know what that looks like. And the same goes for On3. I don't know what that is going to look like in terms of our own personal branding and how we obviously introduce ourselves in the podcasts and all that stuff. Like the Rivals graphic in the top left corner of the screen. That's probably going to be switched out with a different logo. But we'll have to see. I mean, I have enough answers to answer some basic questions.
Yeah.
But not enough to really guide a whole, Q&A section that our subscribers already that aren't aware of. So
yeah. No, I think more so I wanted to make sure people understood, like, we are what is called a fan site, right? In this entire network that's going to exist. And we are fortunate that our community that we have and have built up has made us successful on the Rivals network and an important commodity on the Rivals network. And Michigan itself is big enough, right, that right now there's room for both of us, so to speak, right? we will continue to be Maize and Blue Review. And, we're real excited, and we're going to talk about too, like our team and some changes we were already making and things we were excited about moving into our own future and what we do and doing our own thing, which is key. We will continue to do our own thing, right? What's going to happen, like Josh said, is now the rivals piece of it. I don't know how many text messages we got about Bryce Underwood's rankings, for instance, right? Like, we have no control over that. Yeah. What's happening though is you look at On3 and the best people they have at a national level with recruiting and rivals. We've already seen some folks like Sam and Greg, I believe, were already announced that they're going to continue to stick with rivals. So moving forward, all the national guys for recruiting will be under the rivals umbrella. Mm-hmm. And that'll be the home for high school recruiting and high school sports coverage as well. They're going to launch pages, for the DC area, for Georgia, for whatever else where like there's a lot of high school sports coverage, and the rivals will be the home for that. And then On3, like you said, the things they've been good at, mm-hmm. right? The NIL coverage, the transfer portal. We didn't really have that at rivals. We were behind a little bit on it. So now with those coming together, fans are going to have access to more from the beginning of high school sports to high school recruiting to college sports itself to NIL, the transfer portal. You're going to have the most complete, comprehensive coverage you've ever seen between the two brands, right? We still don't know. Like somebody had already asked, I saw, like, if you're a sub on, I'm a member of the Wolverine. I'm curious how that's going to work out. One thing I learned very early, Josh, when it came to us and, the other two sites as well, not a lot of folks pick just one. A lot of folks are subscribed to two or all three sites, right? Mm-hmm. Because we all kind of offer something a little bit different. We do things a little bit different. You can get things from one site that you don't from the other. So in a weird way, like, there's competition, but there's also kind of not, right? Other than us literally covering the same things. So there are folks that are subscribers at both sites. Shannon has said they haven't figured that out yet, like how the bundle deal will work, so to speak, right? Like the members of our site will continue to have access to the den, but again, the national resources will change. Whether that means you can go to the Wolverine and read their board, but not post on it, that kind of stuff's still being sorted out. But the point is there will be separate boards. There will be separate sites. Right?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I kind of didn't explain in my little spiel there a little bit ago.
You always try to like cover everything in one blow.
Yeah,
so it's okay. We'll get through it.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing out of all of this is that I was assured that we were going to remain independent. There's no plans of merging, no plans. At least, obviously I can't predict the future. So,
of course,
the immediate future is there's no plans of merging. There's no plans of working with anyone else. It's going to be us. And we basically what it's going to happen is it's basically copied and pasting what our site onto On3's
platform.
Yeah. So if you're familiar with On3's platform and how it works, we're just going to be copied and pasted onto there. So we're still going to live by ourselves independently. I want to emphasize independently. We're going to be working in partnership with On3, the national brand, just to be 100% clear here and make sure no one is getting bad information. But we'll be fully going to be in the immediate future going to be existing independently within On3's ecosystem. In terms of subscriptions and what that means for your subscription, if you're subscribed to both sites, I don't have that information. The only thing I can tell you is that there's some sort of package deal going on between where you can get read-only access to one side or vice versa. I just don't have enough details to really discuss, subscriptions and all that stuff. But I don't expect any vast changes in terms of the subscription side of things. The technical side of things, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about On3's rich, resource-rich everything that they can give you. From it's a night and day difference from if you look at a recruiting profile on Rivals and On3 in terms of the information that you're given. So we get access to all of that. We get access to Chad Simmons. We get access to Wilt Fong. We get access to Tipton and all those dudes that do the commit graphics and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this kind of coincides in the same network, but there's going to be no overlap in terms of working together. It's going to be completely separate for the time being. Fortunately, some sites can't say that, which is extremely fortunate. It speaks to our community is so strong, and we were, valued enough to have that kind of assurance that we were going to remain, independent. So I'm hugely thankful for that and gracious for that. A lot of dotted I's and crossed T's that still need to happen, and that'll happen in the coming days and weeks ahead. They've got a million things to do,
right.
100 and something websites that they have got to go through individually to figure out what their plan is and either lock them down or figure something out there. So it's fluid. The situation remains fluid, but I think the most important thing to come out of what we've been saying for everyone is that we're not going anywhere. The podcast isn't going anywhere.
Cue Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. It's exciting. The opportunities that we can be afforded now with all the resources that we have at our disposal that we
for sure
didn't necessarily have at Rivals, I think is a huge upgrade and a huge win for not only us, but subscribers of ours who may not be subscribed to On3 or whatever, or anywhere else. Now you have access to all of that. And again, I don't know how the subscriptions are going to work. There's going to there is going to be some sort of package or solo, whatever. There's going to be some details that need to be ironed out, but I don't suspect much chaos in that regard. I think that's going to be a pretty smooth transition, and the leadership group of On3 have been pretty adamant that this is going to be a seamless transition, and it is, because a lot of the system is largely the same, but there's just some obvious technology differences that you can just see in the naked eye. So at first I was extremely concerned when the news first came out, because pretty much everyone was caught off guard by this news. I think some of the Rivals leadership team was kind of taken off guard by this. So, you gotta move in silence sometimes to get kind of deals of this magnitude done. So I get it. It's business, but my fears were quickly eradicated within about 48 hours of this announcement taking place, that we're going to be in a good spot in terms of at the top of the Rivals network. So we're valued, we're wanted, and that's all I could really ask for at this time. When things are kind of transitioning and we got to iron out some things still, the fact that you're personally courted and told how much you're valued, I think that means a lot to me personally, but it means a lot to the guys that I've brought on with me, because it's not just my livelihood I'm talking about here, and my dream that I've worked hard to accomplish. It's all the other guys with me: Trevor, Brock, Aiden, Dennis, Seth, and so many others who have helped out along the way to get to where we are now. That they matter too, and they were obviously 1B in my thought process on top of, outside of 1A, that is, what was going to happen to us. So, to have those fears eradicated, for now, I mean, I can only speak for now. Again, I can't what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't predict anything, crazy, but for now, I was told what I was told, and there's a lot of information and a lot of things that still need to develop. But I'm extremely excited for the future. I think everyone else who is watching and a subscriber to us should be excited. This is a huge opportunity for us to grow and be who we want to be. And yeah, it's future's pretty bright for us. So, we got to get through this part of the transition process and figuring everything out. And then obviously once that gets over the finish line, it's up to us as a group to get to do our part and, make people proud for taking a bet on us, so to speak.
Love that. Yeah. So some status quo for now. We're working in the background right now to, like I said, it's kind of funny. I mean, there were some things we were talking about anyway, in terms of, changes and things we were excited to bring and some brand refresh. We'll get to Aiden in a moment because he's a huge part of that plan. But once everything's cleaned up, we'll be able to, I think, relaunch along with, the platform rebrand on July 1. And I think it'll make things a little bit easier for folks to understand. But yeah, I think the big message is we're here. We're not going anywhere. We're staying the same. We're operating independent. Our subscribers are just about to get access to incredible resources. That's, and us at a level that's going to help us with our coverage.
Yeah. At the very least, you're going to get way more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
If there is some sort of, and obviously we don't know what the subscription looks like, but if you can get access to both sites on the same network, you're going to get a hell of a lot more bang for your buck. A lot of varying voices and opinions and what to your heart's content, you'll be able to, get your fill of Michigan coverage on 3. That's for sure.
And I think the important part too, if you're not familiar with Shannon Terry, number one, I would suggest go follow him on Twitter as it is, because he's posting screenshots of what the platform's kind of going to look like. And, this is his baby, and he's clearly really passionate about these two projects coming together. It's a real full circle moment for him. His excitement excites me. But he's a good source of information right now, obviously, because he's the one that can decide what can be said. So he's saying what he wants to say. So he's got plenty of information coming out. And then, just kind of look into his story. And again, going back to the original Rivals days, and you'll kind of understand where that excitement comes from. But us as a team here, Maize Blue Review, again, our publisher, our Intel insider, Josh, myself, and largely, our roles are constantly morphing, right? Some of that has to do with, I'll be frank, not necessarily always having what we needed at a national level, right? And obviously what happens with Michigan, I mean, the Stallions thing turned us into lawyers at one point, or pretending to be lawyers, which we're not, right? Lessons learned there. But generally speaking, I try to do as much team coverage as I can, analysis. That's just kind of my wheelhouse and things that our subscribers respond well with. Josh, obviously, after over a decade of experience, has the connections from not just an Intel standpoint, but also recruiting. But he's also not literally going to travel out every weekend and dedicate all the time it takes to cover recruiting. So he just didn't really, right? And Brock's always grabbed kind of our newsy items. Dennis is our media guy and does his shows amazing on this channel. I know you guys already know, if you're watching us now, then you've watched him before. So we had an opportunity for those that are in the social media scape on Twitter. You probably already were familiar with Aiden, but we're talking to him about him coming on and helping with some recruiting coverage a little bit. And whatever high expectations I would have created, he has far exceeded.
Absolutely.
We were excited to bring him on because I think, if we're being honest, he probably reminded us of ourselves a little bit, in that he's just a young dude grinding, trying to do things the right way. And excuse me, was never clout chasing online, like never bragging about things he knew or got right. He was clearly in the relationship business.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Aiden respects everybody, the recruits, the players, the families that he speaks with. He always heard he interned at Circuit City. I don't think he was alive.
Yeah.
He is a young lad. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure he was alive to join us at Circuit City.
They don't have Circuit City in Australia.
Oh yeah, Andy's from Australia. We keep joking. Josh went to Australia and came back with a recruiting insider.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that was the reason for my trip. It was a tough recruitment process, but we got it done.
There's just a lot of people that I think instead of taking the time to really develop their own voice and allow opportunities to come and learn and get better and work their way up, they want the insider clout immediately, and then don't understand like the repercussions that come with being wrong or the journalistic piece of it. Right. And Aiden's not that. And again, just what he did initially and what he's been willing to learn from us in like the month or two that he's been has been really impressive. So he has given us along with Seth's going to continue to cover. Seth covers 3 different websites for Rivals, right? So he's kind of covered the post-visit stuff and things like that, whereas Aiden's really getting in on the intel, the behind the scenes, and he's given us that avenue that we haven't had consistently for a while. And we were really excited to bring him on even before like this merger stuff got announced. And again, all that's at a national level, right? In terms of Rivals doing this, and who's like Wilt Fong is probably going to be called Rivals now instead of On3, just from a branding standpoint, because he's going to do high school recruiting. That's where you see the most changes. But
I still don't know how exactly that's going to work. But yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna see, but
we'll straighten it out. But the point is,
we'll
at a staff level, we have Aiden.
I felt so bad for him. It was like 2 days after.
I know it was immediate. Yeah. Hey,
he messaged me and goes, "Do I still have an internship?" I'm like, "Yes, dude. Just we're good. Don't worry about it. Like, you'll be fine."
So he's killing it, man, and he's excited too, obviously, about moving forward. And we are going to be bringing back our recruiting podcast. I'm going to be hosting it with Aiden. We're hoping to do like a 20-minute shot. It's going to be every Wednesday morning. Obviously, you can watch it back whenever, but we're going to be live Wednesday morning, Australia time. We tried to find the best time that would work for both of us. But we thought that was a good window because that's going to give him time post weekend to be able to collect notes from visits and things like that. So we're going to
well with the turnaround.
I'm assuming that's my child pounding on the door right now, so I apologize.
Just after the door just breaks down and Killian bursts in.
Yeah.
Style.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway. Sorry, that threw me off. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that Wednesday, 10 a.m. First one will be next week. Who's got next? We're gonna have the recruiting coverage. Dennis is gonna continue to have his shows afternoon live on YouTube. We're gonna have Hail to the podcast. Our goal is to, and then we're probably gonna upload just some quick content videos, whether it's scouting reports or reaction to news. Our goal is to have something every day on the YouTube channel once we really get rolling into the football season post July.
Yeah.
On the website, of course, our goal is always to have coverage every single day. That kind of just happens naturally with news that comes out. But continue to have content flowing on there. And then of course the den, the message board is going to keep running. A lot of our community, of course, right away. I was really impressed with, I don't know if impressed isn't the right word. This was kind of a good reminder of, can you hear the piano?
Yeah.
Awesome. This was just kind of a good reminder of the community that we have and how supportive they are of us, and how much they love what they're a part of too. Right. I think when the news first came out, they were concerned as well, right? That this place that they hang out at every day, something was going to change. They were concerned for us, and just, again, I think it just kind of further strengthened with me what we've built and how much we're a part of that community. We work for them. Just that whole thing that we've tried to long say what we do was really felt just with everybody's response as we kind of worked through the initial news and kind of, again, there's still things to be answered, but in terms of what's going to happen in the future, it was just kind of nice to see that response. And we're going to obviously hope to grow that community now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing is we're more fired up than ever. We're going to have a platform that we haven't had before. We're going to be able to offer things that we haven't been able to offer before. And we're hoping, as long as we continue to do our thing with the integrity that we think we have and the way that we do things, that this will just be good for everybody. So like I said, it's an exciting time, but make sure you're following us. We've got the ats up there, and follow Aiden. If you guys do have questions about stuff, like, we're approachable, man. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're not coming at me too crazy, ask us stuff online. We try to interact and answer questions as much as we can.
My Twitter DMs are open.
Yeah. And then otherwise we'll just keep updating you as we go.
Yeah. But sometimes the spam filters out stuff and I can't see it. But more often than not, if you have a question, I will. I've had
to be more aggressive in the last year or so with some of my filters on notifications and messages, just because.
Yeah.
Michigan State, Ohio State, like, again, I know Twitter's not real world and everybody's got crazy fans, but this Stallions thing, people have lost their mind.
Yeah.
And the shit people come at me with is insane. It's insane. But anyway, other than that, we're approachable. So, yeah. I did want to talk about Michigan and football and basketball or whatever else. Obviously, so feel free, again, throw in any questions you have. I did see the first one. Who is next? Not that the coaches are going out for home. So now that the coaches are going out for home visits. Yeah. So I guess I'm not surprised that we saw the commitment today, because I think Sharon Moore is very smart about timing. Right. And obviously with the recruiting restrictions that have been in place, they get back on the trail and it's like, all right, we got to make a splash. We got to let everybody know we're back. And we go get Matt Ludwig, right? Tight end from Montana, one of the higher ranked. I didn't realize how low Colston Loveland was ranked, by the way. I don't know why. I always pictured it. He was still a 4-star, but Ludwig's above him in the composite rankings. I don't know why. I thought Loveland was way higher, but anyway, highly rated tight end recruit, good physical guy that can block, but also can get out wide, can get in the slot, can go in the seam, can go in the flat. Hey, what do you know? A perfect tight end to fit the Michigan system. Steve Kasula, big win, right?
Yeah.
I guess talk a little bit about that first, and then we'll kind of get into the questions as they roll in here. But Ludwig dropping right into the window here.
Yeah, I don't think that's coincidence that it happened when it did. Kasula has done a really good job of prioritizing him since the beginning. So, I mean, if you've been paying attention to recruiting at all, this commitment should not be a surprise. I mean, he's been trending to Michigan for a while, and I think, when Smigel committed, I think that kind of really buttoned things up for him. So, yeah, I mean, a really good addition. I mean, the Loveland comparisons make sense. From a physical standpoint, that's a big kid, a really athletic pass catcher. He's going to be that a more athletic type tight end that Michigan really covets. And probably they'll look to add probably a more blocker type, but still can catch the ball, maybe like a Charles Bonner or something like that from Colorado for 26. So, yeah, I mean, the two really good recent additions on offense with Smigel and Ludwig, obviously. I saw a comment saying Michigan's football class is 41st in the country. Look, it's May. We said that I told
every single year.
I said this last year that we were going to say the same thing again this year, and it's happening. It's happening again. I mean, this is what Michigan does. I mean, besides the 1 year that they had the number 1 recruiting class in June, what was that, 23, 22? I can't remember what year that Jaden.
Yeah, but they didn't finish. They didn't finish number 1.
No,
right?
They didn't finish. So I don't care where they are in May. If we're talking the day before signing day and Michigan is 41st, then yeah, I'd be way more concerned. But the way historically Michigan has closed its recruiting classes, particularly last year, Sharon's really first full recruiting cycle, if they continue to close like that, and obviously they're not going to flip 5-star quarterbacks and what have you. I'd rather lock down a guy in December than lock down a guy in May or even May of last year and wait it out, because now you're talking about
be frank, you're not locking down anybody anymore.
Well, yeah, so to speak, in terms of signing day and their signature.
No. I just mean like a commitment now means almost nothing.
Right. It's meaningless. Yeah, it is meaningless. But I meant more so in terms of
literally
getting them in the class and announcing them, and whatever happens after that happens. But I mean, you got a guy like Brody Jennings who's likely not going to be in the class when all is said and done, has been committed to Michigan for like 6 months, maybe longer.
I think it's longer, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost a full calendar year, getting pretty close. So I don't care, May 20th as of this recording. I just don't care right now where Michigan sits. I'm not concerned. Wait and see what happens, when we're getting towards the November, December months, crunch time, official visit, last minute official visit season. I'm just not concerned with the way Michigan is closed out. I mean, Notre Dame is doing what Notre Dame does, is they start strong and don't necessarily close strong. I mean, they do hold on to guys, but they also lose some too. So it's just the way recruiting works, and Michigan just rarely loads up in the summer. I mean, out of the last, I don't know, 5 classes, how many is Michigan kind of really wrapped up in the summer? The only one I can think of at the top of my head is that 22, 23 class.
It was 23.
It was 23. The 23 class. So it doesn't matter.
Especially in this world we're in now, with, I think there's 2 big factors. One, the way NIL works. I know people are really upset because it's like, oh, Michigan's not talking numbers and blah, blah. Well, they've never talked final numbers because they don't know what they are until the end of the year. Right. I've explained this on the pod before, where schools say, yeah, we'll give you, I'm not going to, $3 million. I know that's an absurd number, but just to say it's a number, we'll give you $3 million if you commit right now. Right. They use it as like a committing arm. All right, man, I'm in. What a deal. Locked in. And then they go and try and find the money after the fact. And then sometimes they don't. And then sometimes the team struggles on the field and other factors come into play. And then all of a sudden you see these kids start decommitting from a program and flipping like crazy because what was promised before wasn't there. And that's just not what Michigan does. It's kind of a long haul recruiting. And when the end comes, the end comes. For some folks, it's early enough in the process. For a lot, it's later, right? Yeah. I think there's 2 big things. One, obviously the House settlement case and the uncertainty with that creates one part of an issue. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just throwing it out there. And let's be frank, especially on offense, Michigan has to prove something this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah. Yep.
And I think a lot of people are buying what Michigan is selling. I think a lot of people are excited about Bryce Underwood and the boost that's brought into the program, and Chip Lindsey and what he's saying about offense and blah, blah, blah. But I don't blame these kids for saying, I want to see it on the field. Mm-hmm. Right? And they have to. They have to show it. I don't think Michigan has to come out and pretend they're a pass-heavy team. They're not. They never have been. They never will be, right? But they got to come out and show that they can be efficient. They can be explosive on offense. And if they're going to go get the number 1 quarterback in the country, they're going to let him throw it.
Yep.
And I think that's going to validate a lot of the pitches when it comes to wide receivers and things like that. I think that's part of the initial lag too. But the barbecue in the big house will happen.
Yeah.
The official visits this summer will happen. you'll get a bunch of commits. The early part of the season is going to happen, and then the close is in November, and we'll be talking about a top 10 class again, in my opinion. Right?
Yeah. I mean, the way things are lining up, I mean, they've definitely got a shot. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of top tier talent that's currently off the board at the moment, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Michigan can't get back in on it. But honestly, I think some of it, when you say Michigan's not talking numbers, is that the NCAA house thing, people need to stop twiddling their thumbs and just get something done. And, that Michigan's not the only program that has to wait and see what those numbers look like. And obviously, you've heard stories about, Texas's budget being $40 million and Ohio State's $40 million and whoever is $40 million. And that's not going to be what the final house budget looks like. There's always going to be ways to skirt that budget, that suggested budget. People are going to look at that settlement and say, oh, you're supposed to spend this much per year on all of your programs. They're going to, some programs are going to look at that as a suggestion and not a end all be all. There's going to be ways to skirt it. So,
well, and to be clear, the cap's on the revenue share.
Right.
NIL is still what NIL was always supposed to be, which is if I'm a business and I want to get into the business of Bryce Underwood, the NCAA can't stop me from doing that.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what they are going to be able to do, apparently, is introduce this NIL clearinghouse, essentially, this third-party company that's going to review the contracts and, determine what's legitimate and whatever. Something like that needs to exist. Give me a break if I have pause that the NCAA and whatever they're pulling off is going to be able to do it correctly. I mean, because I'm coming from the perspective of there's players that are getting screwed because these contracts aren't legitimate and agents are charging too many fees and blah, blah, blah. And the NCAA and, of course, the conferences and schools are coming from the perspective of we want to pay these kids as little as possible. Right? Like there's still this giant issue where it's like the NCAA and a lot of the teams don't like things that are happening with players and recruiting, but don't want to acknowledge that the answer is them becoming employees because that's the last thing in the world they want to give. So it's like we keep operating under this giant bubble trying to find all these solutions without actually just admitting what the real problem is. Anyway, bigger issue.
This whole thing reminds me of, have you watched I Think You Should Leave on Netflix?
With Tim Robinson, yeah.
Yeah. If anyone has
firing him, by the way, what a catastrophic decision.
Yeah. If anyone has not seen I Think You Should Leave on Netflix with Tim Robinson, I highly recommend it. It's funny. Anyway, this whole thing reminds me the hot dog scene where the hot dog car crashes into the clothing store and Tim Robinson dressed up in a hot dog costume goes, "We're trying to find the guy who did this."
Right.
That's the NCAA.
We're all on the same page here.
Yeah, we're trying to find the guy who did this. Well, NCAA, you did this. You are the cause of this. You knew this was coming. You knew there was momentum for players wanting to get paid and doing whatever it takes to be able to get paid. And you just sat on your hands and did nothing.
I firmly believe they did that on purpose.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that first year or two, 21, the Wild West that existed.
Yeah.
They're like, this is what you guys want? Fine. I really think that.
And they knew that the transfer rules were going to change and didn't do anything to supplement it and just said, all right, let it happen. You did this, NCAA. This is your problem. Like you're complaining and you're, going to the house and saying, hey, we don't want to pay these guys all this million. Well, they're there because of you. So it's, the way the NCAA works in all facets is archaic and just mind-numbingly just dumb and just old school. You can't operate the way they've been operating anymore in this day and age. You just can't. With social media, a football player has never been. Yeah, exactly. That's the NCAA right there. Hot dogs too.
So good.
NCAA is a glizzy. Like that's what it is. It's like they had a chance to work with conferences and work with even individual schools for that matter to find some sort of harmony and get this done. And it's a mess. It's a mess.
Have you seen the latest part that, like, with the new rules and everything coming out of the House settlement, that they've basically got the conferences they went to all the athletic directors now, and they're basically encouraging the teams to sign on saying, okay, we agree to this and all the rules, and we forfeit our right to sue if we disagree with your decision. Like, what?
In terms of what? The settlement, or like
no, like on the back end, why can't I think of the word that I'm looking for here? What are they going to be doing? The oversight.
Oh, okay. So if you break rules, you can't sue them. Like,
yeah, or hey, we say, our third party says your NIL deal is not legitimate. We believe you gave this receiver above market value, that you're trying to, whatever. So, like, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, okay. That's why, like, again, back to the whole with Michigan with their NOA thing, it makes me laugh so hard, where it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing.
Yeah.
Like, these people cheering on the NCAA to over punish Michigan at every single turn is just bizarre to me. I get hating Michigan,
right?
But, like, what are you doing rooting for this organization that, especially if you're Ohio State, has screwed you over and over again in recent memory and is proven to be a completely inept organization in recent years? And you're like, yeah, go get them. Like, it's just crazy to me. So
yeah,
I love it so much, and I'm so concerned for what it's gonna be when the dust settles. Can you imagine somebody coming in right now, by the way?
Right.
And there's the hot dog. It's like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. I'm like, there's so many layers to that, and this would just divulge into another hour conversation. But, like,
let's not do that.
The word market value drives me nuts, because what is market value for a player?
What somebody's willing to pay you.
Yeah, and how is that determined? Who determines that market value? If the NCAA,
player and the person paying him,
right? You're worth as much as someone's willing to pay you. So that number is just going to keep going up and up and up. And so the NCAA is going to try to tell you, oh, no, you can't get paid this much money. It's a free market.
Right.
We live in a free market. You're allowed to make as much or as little money as to your heart desires. And
yeah, your collection, like collectible items. Right. Like, if I'm selling something and somebody pays me X dollars for it, and I say deal, that's market value, because two parties have agreed on that value.
Exactly.
For a third party to come in and be like, nah, I don't think that's right. Like, how are you going to determine that? Like, some sort of average? Because, again, we want to stop short of saying you're employees and you deserve to be in a union and you deserve to collectively bargain and there's going to be a salary cap. We don't want any of that structure, because then we lose money.
Right.
So we're just going to create this third party that's going to determine your value. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I mean, the market value realistically could be set every day, literally every day. If there's a guy in a bidding war and that number, and he's the top guy, I don't know, like, let's say he's the top quarterback in the country or whatever, and he's in a bidding war between three programs, that market value can get reset every day.
Yeah.
It's
what a good analogy. When the NBA owned the Hornets, and they vetoed the trade for Chris Paul to go to the Lakers, and they ended up going to the Clippers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example, Steve. Yeah, I don't know what you do. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it, but
yeah,
I mean, should there be some sort of cap or limit? Sure.
Structure of any kind, yes.
Yeah, sure. But are teams just gonna avoid that structure and do what they want? Yeah.
Right.
I mean, nothing has changed at all in recruiting. I mean, people still gave out bags of cash, in 10 years ago, SMU with the death penalty. It never changes.
And even right now, right? Like forever, it was the most open secret everywhere that like kids that go to Alabama get Dodge Chargers and get cars, and these guys are like everybody knows these kids are getting paid, and that was a big part of
car dealership. Like that's got
right.
some sort of like conflict of interest there or something. Like that's ridiculous.
But that was a big part of the push for NIL was they were getting paid anyway, right?
Right.
Talent, nothing is more important in college sports than talent acquisition, because unlike pro sports, there's nothing in place to create equity. You can literally build as good of a roster as you want. There's nothing stopping you from doing it, right? So talent acquisition, that's where people cheat more than anywhere else because it's the most important thing. And what happened as soon as the playing field got leveled with the ability to do NIL and whatever? Well, now they're paying kids to take visits. Literally telling a kid 10 grand just to come visit us.
Or not to take a visit.
Or not to take a visit. Well, what's the flip of that? Well, now you've created that. So now you've got kids that are telling schools, yeah, it's going to cost this much for me to visit. And they're like, what?
Yep.
No, okay, weird. And then tampering.
Yep.
Tampering is rampant. It happens every single day. It's 365, 24/7. It's just replaced whatever paying was. And that's why I get so mad about, the Stallions thing. Everyone's like, oh, you cheated in the sanctity of the sport. Like, come on, dude. Stop it. Your pearls are breaking.
Yeah, right.
You know, and yeah, now it's tampering that's replaced everything else. So
yeah, and Steve again brings up another good point, that sanctimonious Saban going around doing his self-righteous. Yeah, okay, dude. Like, come on. You gave kids cars. Like, you gave kids money. You funneled money through places that couldn't be traced. Like, come on, dude. Let's be real here.
Yeah, now that the playing field got leveled.
Yeah, exactly. Alabama,
all of a sudden, 2 years in a row, a Midwest team wins the national championship.
Yeah, Michigan retired you, and now you're getting pissed off because Michigan, now the Midwest schools are starting to win now, and it's going away from the SEC because the field's being leveled.
Yeah.
No wonder why the SEC ran the last 2 decades, is because they were paying everyone.
Yeah, and back to your point, the last thing I'll say on this too, with like the market value thing, but even Bryce Underwood, I was never comfortable with the numbers that were being shared out there, because again, until we actually have contracts and salary caps where like, it matters, then it doesn't to me. It's none of my business.
Right.
But this idea that it's like, oh, Michigan overpaid for him and blah, blah, blah. Well, Bryce Underwood is worth more to Michigan than he is to LSU. That's just a fact, because he's from Detroit.
Yep.
Right. And I've told people this too. Like, whatever you think Bryce is making on this initial deal is irrelevant to me, because if he is anything close to what we think he's going to be as a starting quarterback his junior year, if he's potentially a number 1 draft pick and he's from Detroit and he's starting at Michigan, he's going to be a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You think $3 million a year is what he's going to be making? It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Right. The Jordan brand he's going to be one of the top people for the Jordan brand. I promise you, in Detroit, blah, blah, blah. Like, anyway. So it's not even just resources sometimes, right? It's a matter of a player in a certain spot, because my need is greater, I'm willing to pay more. And you, as a person with the product to fill that need, are allowed to charge more, right? That's how supply and demand works. Like, what if the NCAA came in and said, nah, you can't, that's too much NIL for Bryce? That, who gets to decide that? Whoever's giving him the money was fine with giving him the money.
Right.
Right. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, if these kids are going out and getting deals completely on their own and has no impact on like the cap, the rev share cap, or whatever, the salary cap, whatever you want to call it, let them do it. They can make as much money on their own. If they have agents that make deals for them and it has no impact on the current roster and how much they're paying everyone and how it breaks down, let them do it. Who cares? Like, who cares? If I don't know, Coney Island wants to pay Bryce Underwood $10 million a year to advertise 30-second commercial spot or whatever. Who cares? Let them do it. I mean, it has zero impact on Michigan's roster. I mean, yeah, you got to have one kid making $10 million. I mean, from an optic standpoint, someone's feelings might get hurt, but that doesn't matter because it has no impact on Michigan's NIL structure as a whole in terms of what they're paying. They are paying their players. It's what they are paying, not what others are paying. That shouldn't matter. That part should not matter.
I don't know, Darren, that we never thought we'd have to explain free market capitalism to Americans.
Yeah.
Should we get into the political? And we're not going to.
Yeah.
But the political irony to me is hilarious.
Hope you did well in economics, folks, because you're gonna have to learn it all over again.
Well, and just the people politically that are pushing what they're pushing in college football would literally say the most offensive things possible about the similar type of format in the real world, right? So like it's just
the fact, and I'm not making this political, but the fact that it's gone political is just we've just so lost the plot of this whole thing. Like the fact that
that's a good point.
The government has to be involved. We're dealing with a house settlement and a subcommittee looking into all of this stuff. The fact that the government is getting involved, it's just we've gone so far off the rails of this whole thing. It's just I don't know if there's ever any coming back or at least reeling it in.
There's not.
There's not. The toothpaste is so far out of the tube of this thing. You just have to throw the tube away because I'm
sticking to my prediction because at this point, the regionality and all of that stuff in college football is gone. I think the best case scenario, because of where we are now, is the Big Ten becomes so big under the Fox, NBC, CBS umbrella, and the SEC becomes so big and powerful under the ESPN umbrella that they operate their own leagues outside of the NCAA.
Well, if they keep adding random West Coast teams, they will be so big.
But they will, and that's the plan. I think that's the plan. The conferences already know they're more powerful. It's just that's where it'll get. So,
yeah.
Speaking of off the rails, this show is gone there. So, Yaxel.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I thought it was really interesting. The NBA Combine. It felt like the analytical people and some of the I don't know what to call it, but some of the real nerdy draftnik people were really impressed and obsessed with what Yaxel was doing at the Combine.
Mm-hmm.
The scouting people, the ones that really probably have a better pulse on the GMs and what the actual NBA draft will look like. And keep in mind, mock drafts in the NBA are the worst in terms of accuracy. They're never close because at this point, other than the top 5 picks, everything's a lottery ticket, blah, 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 whatever. But it felt like they weren't as impressed with Yaxel's performance. And something interesting I thought from him too is what he needs to go to the NBA seems to be increasing, not decreasing, right? So we've gone from guaranteed contract, it doesn't matter, second round, whatever, to I need to be a top 20 borderline lottery pick at this point. Mm-hmm. And I'm 80-20 to go to the NBA. Maybe it's 50-50 Michigan. When you see him talk about Michigan, the stuff he's put on social media, the things like that, I do think he's been sold on Michigan. He's excited about the idea about potentially playing here. We're not stupid. The NBA is everybody's dream. If the right deal came to him, he would obviously go that route. I don't know because I'm not an NBA insider, but my gut, it feels like post-Combine, he's less likely to go to the NBA than he was before, in my gut, just from things I've seen other people see and vibes. Mm-hmm. Are the coaches confident he's coming to Michigan? Absolutely, but of course they are. I don't really read too much into that personally. But
I'm kind of right there with you. I don't think I could even give it a percentage point right now because we don't really know.
I don't know what an NBA team is going to do. So
right, exactly. We don't know what NBA teams are going to do, and we don't know what he's being told either by his agent or other GMs. So I think a little bit he would be taking a bet on himself by going because he's not a top 10 pick, not even a top 15 pick. I don't think. I think you're talking about the the back end of the first round, which is still guaranteed money, but you'd have to have some sort of guarantee that you'll be drafted in the first round. And I just don't know if he will get that. He's obviously talking about the guaranteed money, the guaranteed contract that he wants from the NBA, and that will kind of help his decision whether he stays or goes. But I just don't know if any NBA teams are going to be offering him that at this point, because we don't know how the draft's going to shake out. We don't know who's going to fall. We don't know who's going to rise, and which totally shakes up draft boards. So if he does go, he's taking a little bit of a risk, to bet on himself and, hoping that he gets taken in the first round, unless someone just gives him a definitive, yes, we are taking you at this pick, no matter what, take it to the bank. We're doing it. Where on the flip side, you're not necessarily betting on yourself when you go to Michigan, because you're going to get paid. Dusty May has done an absolutely fantastic job fundraising NIL dollars for this program.
Steve had brought up that, I saw a report at 2.3.
I mean, it could.
I don't want to even get into the numbers, but it's more than that.
Right.
It's more than that.
It's significant money. I even right as he was committing, I was told that they had a guy that put some serious cash down for Michigan to use it on a big name guy, and Yaxel was the guy. So if he takes it, cool. Michigan is going to be a national title contender next year, in my opinion.
I agree.
He takes it. I think
they go from Big Ten contender to Natty contender.
Yeah, I think you can start dreaming big with this program if Yaxel comes. And I don't say that you can't if he doesn't, but I just think he is the difference maker from being Michigan, from being pretty good next year to elite next year. So, I mean, it's easy to look at it from a Michigan perspective because we have that perspective and we're hearing it. So, to say, Michigan's the way better opportunity compared to the NBA. He doesn't know if he's going to get drafted. I mean, it's easy for us to say that because we've got people that are familiar with his recruitment and familiar with the program to say, we can offer him the best opportunity, So, but when you look at it from like a guaranteed standpoint, is there any guarantee that he would get drafted in the first round, mid to late first round, that he'd even get consistent playing time? Who knows?
Yeah, you still get into the fit part, right? Like Caleb Houston had a guarantee. That's why he left. Jordan Poole had a guarantee. That's why he left. But there's a difference between bench riding in Orlando and playing in Golden State and then getting punched by Draymond and getting traded. But
hey, at least he won a ring.
I do love the conspiracy out there, though, where I saw the Suns were mock draft to take Yaxel, and people are saying Matt Ishbia, owner of the Phoenix Suns, former MSU player, grad, would pull a Steinbrenner and promise Yaxel the money and a guaranteed contract so he doesn't come back to Michigan.
Do they even have money considering how much they're paying coaches they've fired in the last year and a half?
And CEOs that who actually was a Michigan guy, so maybe we shouldn't get into that. But yeah, Ishbia's busy ruining the Suns. I don't know that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, as long as if he wants to give up Devin Booker
I was gonna say blow it up, bring Devin Booker home.
Yeah, I'll take Devin Booker off his hands, no problem.
Oh my god, dude, it'd be so amazing. He wants to be here so bad too.
Yeah, he'd be awesome. He should have went to Michigan. But I digress. I
could see that. Poor man Tatum with the Axels.
Yeah.
I think he's I hate doing the comp thing because whatever, but like he just looks the part. He's a better Danny Wolf.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
In the system?
Yeah.
And I am so excited about, like, again, we've talked about like why we have so much faith in Sharon and Dusty, and it's like we see something that we identify as maybe an issue and they are so quick to agree and find resolution. So like the one thing last year, they're getting bullied on rebounds a little bit, and you go out and get Mo from Illinois, just a rebounding machine, and you're like, oh yeah, that's perfect. And then you go get, what is it, Mara? No.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
day, a die tomorrow.
I'm so cloudy today. Yeah, from UCLA, and you're like, dude, that guy, the big man off the bench that you didn't really have, makes a
Yep.
ton of sense. Cheddar gets to stay in his sparky role. Like, I mean that as a compliment. I love Cheddar in his role.
Yeah.
I love Cheddar in his role. So, man, yeah, I'm excited about basketball anyway. But yeah, you're right. Yaxel is like, oh, I'm gonna have to contain the absurdity height, but I mean, they'd be a top 5 preseason team, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a rankings and stuff, but
I can't sit here today and definitively say one way or the other what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think he ends up going to Michigan. I just think there's too much of an unknown right now. It just kind of depends on what they rely on more. If they think the analytics works in their favor, then that might lean him more towards staying in the draft, or if they listen to more of what the water cooler talk is in terms of what people are hearing from scouts and GMs. I think that holds a ton of weight still. So
some guys are already starting to pull out of the draft. We saw Boogie ended up at Florida, right?
Yep.
I think.
Yeah.
So, and the deadline's the end of the month. So we'll see. We'll find out soon. And
don't have to wait too much longer.
He's either going to go or he's not. I guess you could say it is what it is.
Yep, it is what it is.
All right. Yep. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and button this up. Like I said, we just kind of wanted to, this is killing me, by the way, because this is still just chilling in the corner. we wanted to take a moment again, to let the dust kind of settle with the news and make sure we can come here and tell you guys just big picture. We appreciate you and everything we've been trying to build here, and we're going to stay here and we're going to keep building it. And we think that the future is bright and we're going to have more resources than we've had before, which is going to be better for you. Mm-hmm. And that's the goal. We're going to continue to work for you guys and be accessible and try to provide, not every clickbait rumor, but as much as we feel validated source intel, and have these discussions that you can be active with us. So again, if you're watching it back on playback, you want to be a part of the conversation, please like, subscribe, get the notification bell for when we do go live. We are, knock on wood, every time I say it doesn't happen. We're going to try really hard. Sundays at 7.
Yeah.
To be consistent, because I know how important that is, that you can rely on when we're going to be here. And then obviously, like I said, I'm really excited to get Aiden in front of you guys so he can talk recruiting. His little brain is just not little brain. That's not young brain. Young is better than little. Little sounds insulting.
Hope you guys can learn Australian. You have to get familiar real quick. Accent strong on that young fella.
I should have. You hosting would be great because as the show goes on, your accent will slowly come back talking to him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, exactly. I have that. I can't remember what it's called, but like the longer I talk with people, I tend to mimic them.
Yeah. Yep.
And we've talked about Circuit City, right? I did retail for a long time, and that was so problematic because it's a good thing because it makes the person comfortable when you're doing like their body language and kind of matching their vibe. Right. But like I would start to pick up some of the phonetic things that they would do. And like, I know by the end of the show, I'm gonna be like, all right, then.
Yeah. It's like, when you spend, it's like, even like with family members too. It's like when you spend so much time with people, you eventually pick up mannerisms or sayings or whatever that you use in your daily.
I talk different when I'm around my dad. I talk, I got some Southie Mick cousins in Boston.
Yeah, I talk different. I talk differently when I'm not on this podcast too. So if you think I'm bad here, just wait till I'm not on this podcast.
Oh, that's the best part about football season coming up. Get our Josh rants.
Well, I hope not. For the sake of my mental well-being, I hope that's not the case.
It can't be worse than fall of 2023. Nothing.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah, fair enough.
It can always be worse.
But yeah, and of course, for now, we're over at michigan.rivals.com. That's one of the things we don't know, right? What the website's going to be. I mean, it'll still obviously forward for a long time, I'm assuming. But anyway, there'll probably be a different website name. Who knows? But we're there. Maize Blue Review is there. We're not going anywhere. Keep coming. Keep joining us over there and being a part of the conversation. Like, subscribe on here. Like I said, we will be back next week, Sunday. The podcast. Hopefully Brock will be with us as well.
Knock on wood.
Then, yeah.
Oh, I got to show you something. One of our.
I was going to ask you, where'd you get the jug?
Yeah. So one of our subscribers on our site, shout out Mac Daddy, and Mac Daddy and Mrs. Mac Daddy. He messaged me going, "Hey, I have an extra jug, little brown jug, if you want it." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, it'd be cool to show off on the thing," thinking it was going to be a little
like one of the replica ones, yeah.
No. Oh, the whole damn jug. The whole damn jug. I have to fill in the last.
I was going to say, what was the last year? 20 was on there?
2020. So I have to do the last. I have to write it in the last couple of years, but it's the literal freaking jug.
That's
unbelievable. It's made out of I don't know what you call it, like plaster or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's not like an actual jug, but like it is the jug.
That's sick, dude.
I was hoping that they'd have like a Paul Bunyan one too, like an actual life-size Paul Bunyan one. That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I got some.
Well, I thought we were friends, Mac.
Eric's not going to make a jug joke. He's got some big jugs.
I'm glad you brought it up because I saw it sitting there and I'm like, I don't think he used to have that.
No, this is brand new. I just got it in this week. Actually, yesterday.
This is a good question. I was thinking that as well, Steve. You have to drink out of it.
Well, I can't because there's no way to drink from it.
Oh,
it's
okay. It's a mold.
Yeah, it's a mold. It's a molding, but it's freaking sweet. It's light though.
Cool.
It's really light, but it's massive. I have no idea where to put it because it doesn't fit in the screen. It's too big. It doesn't fit in the screen. It's. I don't know where to put it.
I hope Darbo's still in here because he'll appreciate that pause you just had. Real quick, jug and hot dog. There we go.
Jug and hot dog.
All right, let's get out of here. Good God. All right, guys. Maize Blue Review, Michigan.rivals.com. Follow us on Twitter. Again, look up Shannon Terry. I think he'll be the best source of information moving forward. But otherwise, more of us to come. Sorry, you're not getting rid of us. We'll see you next week. Hell, the podcast.